Just past midnight on December 14, 2020, a volunteer firefighter driving down the desolate stretch of Salt Flat Road near Lulling, Texas encounters a crashed Nissan Altima plunged into the pitch-black woods. The vehicle sits spun out with its rear driver's side pressed into a massive tree, headlights piercing the dark, and keys resting in the ignition behind locked passenger doors. A minimal trace of blood stains the steering wheel, yet the driver is absent from the cabin. As first responders sweep the freezing perimeter, their flashlights illuminate a bizarre trail stretching 900 feet along the unpaved dirt path leading away from the wreckage. Pieces of the driver's clothing, a shirt, shorts, socks, underwear, slide sandals, and a wristwatch lie scattered across the freezing ground. This haunting discovery transforms a routine rural traffic collision into one of the most baffling missing persons cases in modern Texas history. Before the incomprehensible events on Salt Flat Road unfold, 21-year-old Jason Landry navigates the routines of a beloved college student. He lives in San Marcos, Texas, attending Texas State University, an institution recognized for a vibrant campus life and a tight-knit student community. Jason is the son of a respected pastor from Missouri City, Texas, raising him with strong foundational values and deep community ties. Family members and friends characterize Jason as a kind-hearted individual with a passion for music and a deep connection to his roots. His daily life revolves around attending classes, playing instruments, and maintaining close relationships with his peers and family. The year 2020 brings unprecedented challenges to university life. Yet Jason adapts to the shifting academic environment with resilience. His friends describe him as the emotional anchor of their group, a young man who always prioritizes the well-being of others above his own stress. He spends countless hours engaging in youth ministry activities back home, reflecting the compassionate upbringing provided by his parents, Kent and Lisa Landry. Missouri City offers a suburban comfort that stands in stark contrast to the rugged terrains found deeper within the state. Jason looks forward to returning to this safe haven during university breaks, finding solace in the familiar streets and the welcoming atmosphere of his father's congregation. The bond between Jason and his parents remains unbreakable, sustained by phone calls and weekend visits throughout his academic journey. He harbors ambitions of completing his education and finding a career that allows him to continue helping others, an aspiration nurtured by his faith-driven family environment. December 2020 brings the conclusion of the fall semester at Texas State University. The atmosphere across the San Marcos campus crackles with the nervous energy of final exams, late-night study sessions, and the eager anticipation of the impending winter break. The physical landscape of San Marcos features steep hills, winding rivers, and a sprawling network of student housing complexes buzzing with activity. Jason resides in a typical student apartment, a space filled with textbooks, musical instruments, and the organized chaos of young adulthood. Like thousands of his peers, Jason dedicates the second week of December to completing his final academic requirements before packing up his life for the holidays. He gathers his belongings, loading his Nissan Altima with a backpack containing his laptop, essential personal items, and gifts for his family. The drive from San Marcos to the Houston suburbs represents a familiar, straightforward journey. Countless university students travel this exact route every semester, transforming the highways into a steady stream of vehicles heading toward the coast. The weather during this time of year changes without warning, with mild afternoons giving way to biting, freezing nighttime temperatures. Jason prepares for the journey with the singular goal of reaching the warmth and comfort of his childhood home in Missouri City. The anticipation of a festive family holiday provides a stark contrast to the unforgiving, isolated darkness he is destined to encounter on the road. The trunk of his car holds his physical possessions, while his mind focuses on the upcoming Christmas celebrations with his loved ones. The journey from San Marcos to Missouri City requires crossing the vast rural expanses of Caldwell County. This specific region of central Texas is defined by its rugged, isolated terrain and a distinct lack of urban infrastructure. Highway 80 cuts through the landscape as a vital artery, connecting small agricultural towns and providing a direct path toward the major interstates. Moving away from the main highway, the geography deteriorates into a maze of unlit dirt roads, dense thorny brush, and sprawling private ranches. Oil derricks dot the horizon, their mechanical, rhythmic pumping creating the only sound in an otherwise silent wilderness. Thick canopies of oak and mesquite trees line the narrow backroads, casting deep shadows that swallow the illumination of vehicle headlights. The physical reality of Caldwell County during the night is an environment hostile to travelers unfamiliar with its hidden curves and sudden drop-offs. Cellular service across this area remains unreliable, leaving motorists disconnected from emergency resources the moment they step off the paved routes. Wild hogs, coyotes, and venomous snakes populate the thick underbrush, establishing a predatory hierarchy in the darkness away from human settlements. The transition from the bright, well-lit streets of San Marcos to the pitch-black void of Caldwell County occurs in moments, leaving drivers isolated in an unforgiving landscape. Salt Flat Road represents the epitome of this isolation, a desolate, unpaved stretch flanked by dense foliage and devoid of streetlights or residential houses. Traveling down this specific dirt path at night means severing all visual ties to civilization, surrounded only by towering trees and freezing winds. The evening of December 13, 2020 descends upon San Marcos with a sharp drop in temperature. Jason spends his final hours in the college town finalizing his packing and preparing his vehicle for the 2.5-hour transit to Missouri City. The streetlights along the university avenues hum with a low electrical buzz, illuminating the bustling movement of students leaving for the holidays. He secures his backpack, his wallet, and his personal belongings inside the cabin of the Nissan Altima, ensuring everything remains within easy reach for the drive. He dresses in comfortable travel clothing, anticipating a relaxed journey down the familiar stretches of highway connecting the major Texas regions. The decision to leave late in the evening is a common practice among college students seeking to avoid the heavy daytime traffic surrounding the Houston metropolitan area. The mechanical click of his apartment door locking echoes in the crisp winter air, marking his final physical departure from his university life. He slides into the driver's seat, starts the engine, and allows the heater to push back the encroaching cold of the late autumn night. The dashboard clock illuminates the interior of the vehicle, casting a soft glow against his face as he prepares to initiate his navigation system. The familiar hum of the Altima engine provides a sense of security as he pulls out of his parking space and merges onto the local roads. The entire family back in Missouri City expects his arrival past midnight, leaving the porch light on and preparing for a joyful reunion. None of his loved ones possess any reason to suspect that this routine, well-practiced journey will culminate in an impenetrable mystery. At 10:55 at night on December 13, Jason Landry departs his San Marcos apartment. He initiates the Waze navigation application on his smartphone, relying on the GPS to map the most efficient route home to Missouri City. Digital forensic analysts later extract the precise data points from this application, painting a clear picture of his initial movements. The vehicle travels south on Highway 80, passing through the quiet sleeping community of Martindale without any deviation from the established route. The highway provides a direct, well-paved corridor toward the town of Luling, a journey that takes 30 minutes under normal driving conditions. The telemetry data confirms that Jason maintains a consistent speed, exhibiting the normal driving patterns of a young man focused on reaching his destination. As he approaches the city limits of Luling, the physical environment shifts from open highway to the more structured grid of a small rural town. At 11:24 at night, the Nissan Altima crosses the specific intersection where Highway 80 transitions into Austin Street. The navigation application dictates a clear turn onto Magnolia Avenue, a maneuver designed to route the driver toward the major interstate highway leading to Houston. Instead of following this necessary instruction, Jason reaches for his smartphone and closes the Waze application. In the same moment, the digital forensic data reveals that he opens the Snapchat application, severing his connection to the GPS guidance system. This single technological interaction marks the beginning of a cascade of inexplicable events that will forever alter the trajectory of the night. Rather than executing the required turn onto Magnolia Avenue, the Nissan Altima continues straight, deviating from the logical route home. The vehicle travels past the final outposts of local businesses and enters the desolate, unlit stretch of Hackberry Street, a road that merges into Salt Flat Road. The pavement ends without warning, replaced by a rough, uneven dirt surface that generates a cloud of dust behind the moving car. At 11:28 at night, just 4 minutes after shutting down his navigation application, Jason uses Snapchat to send a photograph to his former girlfriend. The image captures a selfie taken from the driver's seat, showing him wearing a hooded sweatshirt and looking normal in the dim cabin light. There are no signs of distress, panic, or external threats visible in this final digital communication. This photograph constitutes the last confirmed trace of his digital footprint, a final anchor to the world of the living before the data stream goes dark. The recipient of the message notes nothing unusual about the photograph, viewing it as a standard communication from a college student. Following this transmission, the smartphone ceases to record any active user engagement, though it remains powered on and connected to the cellular towers. The vehicle continues its forward momentum down the pitch-black corridor of Salt Flat Road, plunging deeper into the unforgiving wilderness of Caldwell County. The temperature outside the vehicle begins a decline into the low 30s, transforming the isolated dirt road into a freezing hazard. The distance between the safety of the main highway and the encroaching darkness grows wider with every rotation of the tires. A little over an hour passes in absolute silence before the physical reality of the situation comes to light. At 12:31 in the morning on December 14, a local volunteer firefighter navigates the treacherous path of Salt Flat Road. The bright beams of his headlights catch the reflective surface of a vehicle resting in an unnatural position just off the dirt path. The Nissan Altima sits immobilized, its rear driver's side pressed against a massive, immovable tree trunk, suggesting a severe loss of control. The front headlights of the Altima remain illuminated, casting long, stark shadows through the surrounding dense brush and illuminating the rising dust. The firefighter stops his own vehicle, retrieves his flashlight, and approaches the wreckage to assess the potential need for medical extraction. The keys rest undisturbed in the ignition, but the front passenger door remains locked from the inside, forcing the responder to examine the driver's side. A visual inspection of the interior reveals a trace of blood spotted across the steering wheel, indicating a physical impact during the collision. Despite this evidence of trauma, the driver's seat sits empty, and a scan of the immediate cabin yields no sign of a human occupant. Jason's smartphone, his wallet, and his packed backpack remain inside or scattered just outside the vehicle, leaving behind every critical tool required for survival or identification. Law enforcement officers arrive at the scene past midnight, stepping into the freezing night air to secure the perimeter. The discovery of these personal items inside the abandoned vehicle strips the responding deputies of their primary digital tracking tool. The Caldwell County Sheriff's deputies initiate a sweeping visual search of the immediate area, utilizing high-powered tactical flashlights to cut through the oppressive darkness. The temperature now hovers near the freezing point, making the environment hostile to anyone exposed to the elements without proper winter gear. moving away from the crushed rear of the Nissan Altima. The investigators stumble upon a discovery that elevates the scene from a traffic accident to a profound mystery. Resting on the freezing dirt a short distance from the vehicle lies an article of clothing discarded by the missing driver. The deputies follow the unpaved path, their flashlights revealing a chilling, continuous trail of stripped garments stretching over a distance of 900 feet. They document a shirt, a pair of shorts, socks, underwear, slide sandals, and a wristwatch, all dropped at irregular intervals along the road. The placement of the clothing suggests a deliberate, progressive removal as the individual walked away from the illumination of the headlights and into the pitch-black void. The absence of footprints in the hard-packed dirt leaves investigators without a clear direction of travel once the clothing trail ends. The surrounding landscape consists of impassable thorny brush, deep ravines, and murky bodies of water, creating a labyrinth of natural hazards. The deputies realize with creeping dread that a young man has wandered naked into an environment crawling with feral predators and freezing temperatures. Radio calls echo through the quiet night, summoning search and rescue teams, tracking dogs, and thermal imaging drones to the isolated crash site. An urgent, massive operation begins before dawn, racing against the plunging thermometer to locate a victim who has vanished into thin air. The sun rises on December 14, 2020, revealing the full, imposing geography of Salt Flat Road in the harsh daylight. Dense thickets of mesquite and cedar trees form impenetrable wooden walls on both sides of the unpaved dirt track. Hiding deep ravines from plain view, the Caldwell County Sheriff Office establishes a mobile command center near the wrecked Nissan Altima, taping off the perimeter to preserve the scene. Crime scene technicians carefully document the scattered garments, securing the shirt, shorts, socks, underwear, slide sandals, and wristwatch into individual brown evidence bags. Law enforcement officers immediately operate under a specific forensic and physiological theory based directly on this bizarre visual evidence. They postulate that the severe crash impact caused a traumatic brain injury, leaving the driver deeply disoriented as he wandered into the freezing temperatures, as his core body temperature plummeted into the low 30s. Investigators believe the young man suffered from paradoxical undressing. This highly documented medical phenomenon occurs when freezing individuals experience a sudden, false physiological sensation of extreme burning heat. The brain misfires catastrophically, prompting the victim to strip off their protective clothing in a desperate, irrational attempt to cool down their skin. Stripped of all thermal protection, the victim wanders completely off the path and succumbs quickly to the lethal weather conditions. The initial search grids are drawn with this exact timeline and strict physical limitation in mind, assuming the victim cannot have traveled far. By mid-morning, the Texas Search and Rescue Organization deploys massive specialized resources to the isolated Caldwell County quadrant. Volunteer teams arrive equipped with tracking bloodhounds, thermal imaging drones, and low-flying helicopters designed to scan the dense brush from above. The physical terrain surrounding the crash site consists of deep limestone drop-offs, razor-sharp briar patches, and uneven, treacherous ground that shreds normal hiking boots. Hand crews physically hack their way through the dense underbrush with machetes, scanning every hollow log and thicket for any sign of human remains. The tracking bloodhounds are introduced to the specific scent profile obtained directly from the discarded clothing found on the dirt road. The canines immediately lock onto an invisible trail, pulling their handlers forcefully away from the wreckage and into the wild, untamed brush. The path leads the searchers across an uneven field toward a large, murky stock pond situated a short distance from the unpaved road. The dogs track the scent with frantic precision right up to the muddy, freezing embankment of the water. At the very edge of the stagnant water, the invisible scent trail inexplicably and completely vanishes. The bloodhounds circle the muddy perimeter repeatedly, completely unable to detect any continuation of the path on the opposite shore. This abrupt cessation of the tracking trail directs all law enforcement focused toward the dark, opaque depths of the rural pond. The sudden halt of the scent trail at the water edge prompts a severe escalation in recovery tactics, pulling in state-level authorities. State troopers from the Texas Department of Public Safety secure heavy pumping equipment to systematically drain the entire stock pond. High-capacity water pumps run constantly for hours, pulling thousands of gallons of muddy water out of the basin and dispersing it into the surrounding fields. The water level drops inch by inch, exposing a thick layer of sludge, submerged tree branches, and rusted agricultural debris. Investigators stand in the freezing mud, probing the exposed bottom of the pond with long poles, fully expecting to make a grim discovery. When the basin is completely emptied, the searchers find absolutely nothing resembling a human being or any personal effects. This massive logistical effort results in a devastating dead end, completely shattering the primary forensic theory of an accidental drowning. In the immediate aftermath of this failure, a rigid bureaucratic protocol severely disrupts the flow of the ongoing investigation. The Texas Department of Public Safety formally hands the primary jurisdiction of the case back over to the Caldwell County authorities, citing regional boundaries. This administrative transfer requires a complete exchange of case paperwork, forcing the under-resourced local sheriff office to shoulder the entire burden of a complex mystery. Crucial momentum stalls completely as new local investigators must slowly review the exact same physical evidence the state authorities just finished processing. The rigid adherence to jurisdictional boundaries prevents a seamless, unified task force from operating during the most critical window of the entire search. Following the bureaucratic jurisdiction transfer, the Caldwell County Sheriff Office faces the monumental task of expanding the search perimeter without state-level funding. Law enforcement officers and civilian volunteers spend the remainder of December grading out over 50 square miles of hostile, freezing wilderness. Searchers mount horseback patrols to navigate the deep, treacherous ravines that remain entirely inaccessible to standard all-terrain vehicles. Advanced sonar scanning boats are transported to the region to probe the nearby San Marcos River, painstakingly mapping the riverbed for any biological anomalies. Every abandoned shed, dilapidated barn, and rusted oil derrick within a 10-mile radius is meticulously cleared by armed tactical teams. Private property owners grant access to their sprawling ranches, allowing search crews to sweep shoulder to shoulder through massive acres of cattle grazing land. The days bleed slowly into January of 2021, marked by relentless, methodical, physical labor in the freezing daytime temperatures. Search crews comb through the thickest briar patches on their hands and knees, checking underneath heavy brush canopies where an injured person might seek shelter. Despite dedicating thousands of man-hours to mapping and walking the exact physical geography of the region, the results remain entirely negative. Not a single fiber of clothing, strand of hair, or piece of physical evidence is located beyond the initial 900-foot trail on Salt Flat Road. The hostile environment simply swallows every investigative effort, leaving the local authorities grasping at thin air. The absolute lack of physical evidence breeds a secondary digital nightmare that paralyzes the investigative progress and wastes critical resources. Verified rumors of foul play and phantom vehicle sightings flood internet forums and social media platforms, capturing the obsessive attention of online crowds. Anonymous online tips claim a secondary vehicle chased the Nissan Altima off the road, while others suggest an elaborate ambush coordinated by local predators. Caldwell County detectives are legally obligated to investigate these public claims, forcing them to divert precious manpower away from the physical search grids. Investigators spend countless hours interviewing local residents, pulling security camera footage from distant gas stations and running background checks on entirely baseless suspects. To conclusively address the rampant foul play theories, authorities execute a highly complex geofence warrant for the cellular communication towers surrounding Salt Flat Road. This digital dragnet legally forces technology companies to surrender the location data of any mobile device present in the target area during the critical timeline. The data analysis requires weeks of meticulous cross-referencing and technical review by specialized forensic digital experts working in secure laboratories. When the results are finally verified, the digital evidence factually confirms that absolutely no other cellular devices were present on that remote dirt road. The victim possessed the only active mobile signal transmitting within that specific geographic radius during the exact 60-minute window of his disappearance. This definitive digital proof completely dismantles the online ambush theories, but it plunges the physical investigation into an even deeper state of impenetrable confusion. Frustrated by the lack of definitive answers from local law enforcement, the family of the victim secures the services of independent private investigators. These specialized experts arrive in Caldwell County to conduct their own parallel analysis of the physical evidence and the unforgiving environmental conditions. The private investigators map the exact coordinates of the clothing trail, measuring the distances between each discarded garment to calculate walking speed and trajectory. They deliberately shift their focus toward the biological realities of the Central Texas wilderness, consulting with local wildlife experts and state game wardens. Their investigation highlights the severe complexities introduced by the massive feral hog population dominating the rural landscape surrounding the town of Luling. Feral hogs are aggressive, highly destructive scavengers known to travel in large groups and decimate any biological material left exposed to the elements. The private detectives theorize that if a body succumbed to hypothermia in the dense brush, the local wildlife would erase the physical evidence within a matter of days. The deep, uneven terrain, characterized by sudden limestone drop-offs and hidden sinkholes, provides countless natural traps where an incapacitated individual could fall and vanish forever. These environmental variables deepen the frustrating reality of the case, proving that the Central Texas wilderness possesses the capability to completely consume a human being. Law enforcement and private experts reach a chilling consensus regarding the physical landscape, recognizing it as an active, undefeated adversary in the search operation. The massive investigation slows to an agonizing crawl as every logical avenue, both physical and digital, ends at a solid, unyielding brick wall. Years pass, allowing the dense foliage of Caldwell County to grow thicker over the abandoned dirt paths. The physical landscape of Salt Flat Road remains a hostile barrier, its deep ravines and twisting mesquite branches acting as an impenetrable vault. The Caldwell County Sheriff Office exhausts their local technological limits and physical resources without locating a single biological trace. The harsh realization sets in across the community that a massive, multi-agency apparatus has reached a definitive dead end. In February 2022, the local authorities take a major administrative step to break the stagnation. The Caldwell County District Attorney Office and the Sheriff Office submit a request for structural intervention from state authorities. They hand over a massive dossier of collected evidence to the Texas Attorney General Cold Case and Missing Persons Unit. This petition signals that traditional local law enforcement avenues lack the advanced capabilities required to solve the puzzle. Detectives transport boxes of physical case files, digital hard drives containing the navigation data, and sealed evidence bags to the state headquarters. The transfer of these critical items demonstrates a total exhaustion of local funding and manpower. The physical reality of the Central Texas wilderness continues to guard its secrets, forcing investigators to seek fresh analytical perspectives. State officials review the submitted paperwork, recognizing the sheer magnitude of the mystery presented to them. In November 2023, the Texas Attorney General Cold Case and Missing Persons Unit convenes an unprecedented multi-agency roundtable. Officials establish the setting inside a secure conference room in Austin, Texas, laying out massive physical maps across long tables. Representatives from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Texas Rangers, and Texas Search and Rescue gather to dismantle the mystery from the ground up. The assembled experts re-examine the physical evidence with strict precision, charting the precise timeline of the discarded garments. They map the exact distance between the shirt, shorts, socks, underwear, slide sandals, and wristwatch found on the dirt road. Digital forensic specialists review the cellular tower pings and the geofence warrant data point by data point. The collective data confirms a terrifying reality regarding the timeline of the disappearance. The young college student vanished into thin air within a tight 60-minute window between the final social media message and the volunteer firefighter arriving. Analysts overlay the tracking dog scent paths, the thermal imaging drone grids, and the drained pond coordinates onto high-resolution digital maps. They scrutinize the paradox of the physical evidence, searching for a single missed connection in the timeline. The geographic data proves that search teams scoured every inch of the immediate 50 square miles without finding a hidden shelter or crevice. This exhaustive analytical review eliminates the possibility of a simple investigative oversight during the initial response. The investigators at the state roundtable face an agonizing analytical conclusion after weeks of review. In public statements, the authorities declare that the hypothermia and disorientation theory remains the most viable scientific explanation for the bizarre trail of clothing. The experts acknowledge the destructive power of feral hogs and the harsh environmental elements present in the Central Texas brush. Yet, the forensic reality creates a stark contradiction with basic statistical probability. Scavengers and natural decay processes leave microscopic traces, scattered fragments, or residual personal effects behind in the soil. The absolute absence of biological remains defies all standard forensic models used in modern missing persons cases. The horrifying truth crystallizes for both the family and the seasoned law enforcement officials sitting in the conference room. Whatever transpired in the freezing dark of Caldwell County remained unseen, undocumented by technology, and devoid of human witnesses. The perfect impenetrable void left behind creates a severe psychological torment for those desperate for a logical answer. The wilderness closed over the event without leaving a footprint or a final trace. The meeting concludes with a profound sense of dread, acknowledging that the landscape holds the only true record of that freezing night. The multi-agency panel classifies the disappearance as an anomaly of nature and circumstance, solidifying its place as an unsolved enigma. The forensic analysis of the discarded clothing yields a frustrating lack of conclusive data. Crime scene technicians swab the collar of the shirt, the waistband of the shorts, and the internal fabric of the underwear for trace evidence. Laboratory experts hunt for foreign deoxyribonucleic acid, microscopic fibers from a secondary vehicle, or defensive chemical markers indicating a struggle. The results return with a staggering absence of external contamination, showing only the biological markers of the missing college student. The slide sandals exhibit normal wear patterns, lacking the deep scuffs or unnatural tears associated with a violent abduction or a sudden physical assault. The mechanical wristwatch found resting in the freezing dirt displays no signs of a physical struggle or a shattered faceplate. Investigators document that the clothing removal matches the precise systemic unbuttoning and sliding associated with a voluntary, albeit disorganized, action. This specific lack of fabric tearing reinforces the medical theory of paradoxical undressing while mocking the exhaustive search efforts. The pristine nature of the garments suggests the young man walked away from the vehicle under his own power, driven by a catastrophic misfiring of his own brain. The clothes remain locked in state evidence rooms, serving as pristine silent witnesses to an unrecorded tragedy. As of July 2026, more than 5.5 years following the freezing night on Salt Flat Road, the victim remains a missing person. The case maintains a strict active classification by both the Caldwell County Sheriff Office and the Texas Attorney General Cold Case and Missing Persons Unit. Detectives refuse to close the files, keeping the physical evidence sealed in secure temperature-controlled storage vaults. No specific criminal suspects possess an indictment from a grand jury, and no definitive evidence of a targeted attack exists. Furthermore, no biological proof of a tragic environmental accident provides a concrete conclusion to the search efforts. This legal and investigative limbo highlights an infuriating reality of the missing person system in the state of Texas. Without a physical biologic discovery, medical examiners possess no legal authority to issue a definitive certificate of death. This specific administrative restriction leaves vital legal matters, financial accounts, and personal estates in a perpetual state of suspension. The rigid bureaucratic protocols require absolute physical proof of demise, trapping the grieving family in an agonizing legal purgatory. This inflexible structure prevents any semblance of closure, forcing loved ones to navigate a rigid system designed for clear conclusions. The family endures the psychological torture of living in a state of unyielding ambiguity, denied the basic dignity of a definitive answer. Kent Landry and his family refused to surrender to the deafening silence of the Central Texas Wildern